Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, 2nd of November. The time is 9:59 a.m. and the temperature is 7 degrees. We're at the Central Railway Station in Helsinki. And today is to walk through some of the sort of main city areas. To Cathedral, and then waterfall and seaside in the Katajanokka area, which is kind of annoying. But the vibe area is with all the buildings and a really nice field. So I'm gonna make my way here on the train which stops at the Kauppatori railway station here. Finland has a very extensive rail network. The trains going to the main cities across the fairly long country. It's not a lot of people, about the 5 million mark. There is a lot of space, especially the northern areas. Are not very densely populated, as people tend to live in cities. So the southern and middle parts of the country. Built already in the 1860s. So it's been kind of built here for a long time. And it's very common for people to travel from city to city as well in Finland. All the departures. So it's quite a busy station. We have COVID, I think it was around 400,000 people who use the station daily. People travel for other ones. There's some restaurants here as well. And there's even a president who died here, or yes, the president who died here in years past, so it's very historical in that sense. There was quite a lot of talk about this place being turned into a Burger King when that happened. It's the waiting hall. We used to have a really nice ticket hall there, but it's under renovation, I think. But it does have that sort of older feel. Let me just adjust the camera there. And it says two platforms there, both in Finnish and Swedish. And there are tunnels going underneath here that you can follow, especially useful in the winter weather. It's one of the sort of places everyone around the city will know. And there's the Gnome Museum, that's an art museum. And we're merging into kind of the part of the city center here. With the characteristic trams here. And stop by light, but we'll have a look here. The statues there are called the lyhdynkantajat, torch carriers. And they've kind of been the characters associated with the rail travel in Finland as well. They are used in advertisements. You can see they're wearing the masks now, which was a thing that happened during the pandemic, of course, to encourage people. But this is a kind of very traditional view of Helsinki city center. The house here is called Sausage House, Makkaratalo, because of the shape there. That's also been there forever. And I think we can go through the city center, shopping center, or maybe Kaivopiha. These are kind of walkways through. So you can go through this building rather than going around it to some of the main areas. Here there's, by the way, the bus terminal, or it's just basically bus stops. But that will take you around to the surrounding sort of metropolitan area. No trams and the green light, so into the house. I think I like. Oh, we might go through here, why not? Let's have a look at the shopping center. There's also sofas. Just putting on my mask here as well. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended. Inside. Covered walkways become especially useful around that time when there's a bad weather or good weather. And this will take us to Aleksanterinkatu. That's one of the main shopping streets. Another one of the main streets going through Helsinki city center. So as the trams pass, I'm going to make my way to the other side and go to the Esplanadinpuisto park on the Esplanade. So here's the Aleksanterinkatu and the very traditional department store Stockmann which has been revived from nearly going bust. Don't really see past here, but we could. So I learned that Stockmann is having their sort of Christmas displays put up next weekend. So hopefully we'll get really nice Christmas windows here next week already. It's really nice weather today. It's sunny. So the sun is always very low this time of year. Of course, it's only around until sort of late afternoon. But still always really nice to see. I think we're getting a bit of rain from tomorrow onwards. And ahead of us is the Swedish theater in Helsinki, Svenska teatern. I remember going there to see Mamma Mia musical some years back. And then you have some, around this area you have some very well-known design shops like Artek, Marimekko, that sort of thing, which I think are mainly in this area for the tourists. Of course, why not Finns as well, but you can find those elsewhere as well. There is a pretty chilling breeze around here. Do have proper winter gear, but I'm kind of sticking to lighter scarves and coat as long as I can. Here's the entrance to Svenska teatern. Northern Esplanade, Pohjois-Esplanadi. And there's a Starbucks. Of course, you must have a Starbucks. There's the station of the background, designed by Eliel Saarinen, one of the great Finnish architects. It's a really lovely building. My train this morning was cancelled though. Luckily there was another one in 6 minutes that only was a couple of minutes longer. Akateeminen kirjakauppa, the academic bookstore on the other side, is a real sort of institution as well. I thought they kind of were not going to go on here, but that's been there since my childhood, and it's a huge bookstore, really lovely. And it used to be associated with Stockmann, and I think as they were doing that, sort of reviving the department store, I had a feeling Akateeminen would disappear from there, but it's good to see. Oh, this is something very Finnish. In the park there, the Esplanadinpuisto, Esplanade Park, they're getting rid of the leaves which have fallen off the trees. So that's an interesting operation. There's also a very well-known restaurant here with lovely views of the park. So this is something you might not have seen unless you live somewhere with seasons. Have to get rid of the leaves somehow. And preferably because it's very slippery otherwise. It's a fun operation to see up here. I haven't seen that kind of thing for a while. So this is kind of a, I don't know how to say that, really central area here. You can see they got high-end stores with be kind of considered an expensive place for a store to be. One of those city center locations that everyone knows the name. And the cafes around here kind of well known and loved by people to sit here in the summer and look at the park and people watch Strindberg. I'm saying that in a very unfinished way, by the way. If you're Finnish and watching this, you'll notice. Probably would say something. It's a very weird thing when you're Finnish and Swedish is just kind of something you learn at school. You have maybe a little bit different pronunciation than the Finland Swedish people who have Swedish as their mother tongue. So I would say Strindberg or Strindberg. But that's a kind of a Finnish version. And then as you notice, as I said it in English, I make it different again. It's funny how that happens to the same person, depending on what language you're using. Piles of leaves here, you can just imagine jumping in those as a child. Here's a camp, also an institution of a kind here. A really beautiful building as well. All of these buildings really are kind of iconic. You can see many of the sort of design brands and high-end brands finding their way towards here. A lot of people probably having breakfast there in camp. And of course being a hotel. Here's one of the more grand statues with the words in Swedish of our country. Of course, that's our national anthem here. I think that might be the poem, I cannot see that far. But it says Vårt land, which would be our country, maamme. In Finnish, it says Suomen kansa maamme laulajalle. The Finnish people. I guess that would be a translation of that, the person who sang our country. So the song very important in kind of establishing the Finnish identity. The little dog is saying no to leaving the park. And here we have some renovation being done, so they've covered that building. It's a really nice park, very sort of traditional look here. And another well-known restaurant coming up here. And we're coming to the seaside here. Well, one of the kind of views that you associate with Helsinki. The buildings coming up. Well, this restaurant, Kauppatori, the really beautiful glass building. Not big part. I think they're going under renovation soon, or at least that's, I think, what I read. If they haven't already, I think there's active work being done inside now. But you can definitely have an idea of how beautiful that is. One of the institutions around here. You can have a look at the information board of Esplanade Park, Esplanadinpuisto. So it says, from a promenade for the gentry to a park for everyone. Helsinki was almost completely destroyed in the fire of 1808. The future capital of the Grand Duchy was provided with a town plan in 1812, in which a promenade was to separate the new stone construction from the colony of wooden houses on the southern margin. Architect Carl Ludwig Engel's park plan of 1826 divided the area into three. And I'm not going to read all of that, but it basically explains how that happened. And the statue we saw was of Runeberg, who is Finland's national poet. And it's yes, it has the words of Maamme, our land anthem in Swedish, and was unveiled on 6th May 1885. So it's one of the sort of older parts here. This is Haavisamanda, which people familiarly call Manta. During 1st of May celebrations, she usually gets hat from the students, a kind of symbol of graduating in Finland. From the upper secondary school, you get this kind of hat that everyone wears on May Day, 1st of May. So Amanda here usually gets that as well from the students. It's a real student celebration in Finland. And these areas here would be just completely crowded with students and other people celebrating. We're coming to the sort of old market square here, which is now a very touristy affair, with less of the sort of market feel left. We'll walk through anyway. We're now on the northern Esplanade, Pohjois-Esplanadi, and at the back there is Tuomiokirkko, one of the most beautiful churches in Helsinki. And ahead of us is Uspenski Cathedral, the cathedral, which I'm going to walk towards and past today. There's a building for the government and also the president's castle, Presidentinlinna. This sort of Finnish marketplace. That's kind of more traditional setup there. But this is mostly for tourists now. We used to have a lot more of the sort of market stalls not too long ago. You still get fish and you get some mushrooms and berries, but then you get the cafes and things are more touristy now. Here's the sea. So over there is an old, also a market building, kind of a, how do you say it? Well, all with stalls basically. We'll figure it out eventually, it will come back to me. And that's the terminal where you can take the cruise ships to Sweden and Tallinn and Estonia under normal times. Well, you still travel, but it's more limited now, of course, a little bit. But I think most of it has opened up around here if you have the documentation. And this here is for Suomenlinna. It's a ferry. That's the island there in the distance. The sun is directly ahead there, so the view won't be very great, but there's an island right there, and Suomenlinna is a fortress on that island, which has had a role in defending entrance through here to the capital. This is part of the public transport system. I have relatives, family who live on Suomenlinna Island or have lived there. And yes, there are people living on the island with their way into the city being the ferry here. So it goes all the time as part of the public transport system. Try to visit Suomenlinna. It's quite a nice place. There's a cruise ship going, leaving right now from the other side, that harbour. And there on the other side is now a fairly new addition, the Allas Sea Pool, where you have a seawater pool and a warm, sort of not a seawater pool, and you can go swimming right here. That's where the sort of humidity and the smoke almost is coming from, because that's warm water. I plan to visit there as well. There's a sky wheel at the back. It's kind of a small Ferris wheel, but still there. Could have nice views, I guess. This is one of the sort of really nice views here. And they're going to take off in the near future to the island. My mother spent her childhood on an island, not Suomenlinna, but one of the other islands. Suomenlinna meaning Finnish castle. When the islands around Helsinki were still restricted, and only those basically living there and working there could go. My mother lived on one of those for most of her childhood, and they traveled to Helsinki by boat and skiing in the winter to go to school. I always found that kind of a nice history to have, and it's always kind of made me really aware of the fact that Helsinki is a town with a close connection to the sea. Here ahead of us is the President's Castle. Doesn't really look like a castle, but in Finnish it is Presidentinlinna. Linna being castle, so the official orders for the president, I guess. So this is just a very nice view as well. With these buildings, very impressive buildings, and then Uspenski Cathedral at the back there. And the sea. It's just a really lovely place for a walk. I'm going to head over to Katajanokka, which is the area right there with the red brick buildings. With a kind of traditional sea feel as well. And they transformed many of those old buildings into restaurants and wine bars, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping it has stayed as lively. And we'll go and have a look. a guard in front of this building here. You'll see them stationed around the nicer buildings around this area for the president. Here's the cathedral. I think in 2007 or around that time, they replaced the gold on top there, so it's looking really beautiful. To see that I definitely got it in view. Just cross here while it's green. And if the Central Station opened around 1919, then this is even older. It's an Orthodox cathedral. I think it's from around 1880s. You can go inside as well. They've had a little bit of problems with people stealing some of their artwork. One of the ones that was set to Crowned Miracles was stolen, and it was pretty much suspected that it wouldn't be found in Finland, but then they found it buried in the Turku area after the person who stole it admitted to it and told them where it was. So I hope you enjoyed this walk from the Central Railway Station, or the rail station, over to Katajanokka, through the sort of central areas in Helsinki City Central. It's a lovely area. Thank you for joining me for the walk. And if you'd like to see more walks like this, then if you haven't already, you can subscribe to the channel and get notifications when there are new videos published. So thank you for today, and I hope I'll see you again soon.